Not so long ago, all-drive pocket rockets were largely considered the domain of the Japanese, thanks to legendary cars like the Mitsubishi Evo and Subaru WRX. But nowadays, those early pioneers are being increasingly replaced by a newer European breed. And these are the latest two examples. We've got the Audi S3 battling the Mercedes-Benz CLA 250 Sport in this drive head-to-head. Both products bring a more premium twist on the WRX and Evo models of old, so you're probably unlikely to see them tearing through forests. However, both are Euro, offer all-wheel drive grip, and are powered by 4-cylinder engines. The S3 sedan starts at $62,200 plus on-road costs and gets standard features such as 18-inch alloy wheels, heated and leather trimmed seats, front and rear parking sensors, a reversing camera, and Bluetooth phone and audio streaming. Our car was fitted with a $5,000 S Performance upgrade, bringing LED headlights, larger 19-inch wheels, a higher grade stereo, and diamond stitch seat trim. On a performance front, the S3 gets ventilated front and rear disc brakes with red calipers, magnetic dampers, and an electronic limited slip differential. The Mercedes-Benz comes in a fraction dearer than the Audi at $64,900 plus on-road costs. It gets almost an identical list of specs with the omission of a push-button start. Like the S3, the CLA gets a 5-star safety rating as standard. However, it gets extra features including a blind spot sensor and automated park assist. The Merc gets ventilated front disc brakes and solid rears, as well as a dual exhaust system. However, it misses out on the S3's limited slip diff. So a win to the Audi in value. Next is how both these cars package some of those features in their interiors. The Audi plays on the Euro theme with premium materials, a classic switchgear layout, and a nice flat bottom steering wheel. It also gets a 425 litre boot, rear air vents, and a 20 gig hard drive for music. The optional seats in our car offered excellent support and bolstering. It's the attention to detail in the S3 interior that's most impressive, from the quality of the switches and dials to the way that the centre screen rises out of the dashboard. It's pretty opulent stuff. One criticism though, there's no conventional USB port. Now in terms of space, front seat passengers are afforded decent leg and headroom, however the rear seat is a little bit tight. The CLA offers a more youthful layout. There's some nice attention to detail touches like the red stitching through the seats and the steering wheel, and a rear seat which suffers as a result of the car's sharply raked roofline. Space is similar to the Audi with a larger 470 litre boot and comparable in-car storage. Even with those deductions, the CLA still has a very high level of finish in the interior, and for that reason finishes equal the Audi in the interior stakes. Now from a distance, the engines in these two cars look pretty similar. Both are 2-litre turbocharged petrol units sending drive to all 4 wheels. The Audi has a 6-speed gearbox, the Mercedes-Benz a 7-speed. However, the power outputs tell a completely different story. The Audi manages a punchy 206 kilowatts from its engine, as well as 380 newton meters of torque. It offers a launch control system, a gravelly synthesized exhaust note, and it can sprint from 0 to 100 in 5 seconds flat. The CLA meanwhile produces a relatively low 155 kilowatts of power and 350 newton meters of torque, reaching the latter figure from only 1200 RPM. Like the Audi, it features a dual clutch automatic which helps it sprint to 100 km an hour in 6.6 seconds, meaning it's not quite good enough to match the S3 under the bonnet. Now to see how these two stack up on the road. Now, if you thought the S3 was simply a tarted up Audi A3, think again. This thing lacks for nothing in the power stakes. 0 to 100 is achieved in 5 seconds flat, and from where I'm sitting, it feels every bit that fast. The A3 is a genuine sports car. It's got paddle shifters, a 6-speed gearbox, and that lovely rorty blip when you upshift the gears. But it doesn't simply go fast in a straight line. The S3 honestly is one of the most engaging cars for its class. I've got 5 different drive select modes to play with while I'm driving. I'm in the sportiest dynamic mode at the moment, and basically that makes the gearbox and engine as aggressive as possible. It perks up the steering, and it stiffens up the ride for an even better experience through the corners. But in all the different steering modes, the Audi offers sharp, crisp steering, excellent weighting, and really good response to driver inputs. I've got those big powerful brakes on the front, and they too are well modulated and fairly reassuring. Now, as good as the S3 is through the bends, it's also a really compliant daily road car, which is quite surprising. On a mix of roads that we're driving at the moment, small bumps tend to rumble through the cabin, while sharper bumps can sometimes crash into it as well. I guess that's just a small price to pay for what is a really accomplished little sports sedan. So it might be down on power a little bit, but the Mercedes definitely isn't down all that much on the fun factor. It too has a great level of all-wheel drive grip, raudy little upshifts, and it is generally fun to drive. However, it's not quite as fun as the S3. Some of that comes down to the level of adjustability. The S3, you've got 5 different driving settings that seem to play more of an effect in the way the car drives and handles. The Mercedes has 3 different settings: Eco, Sport and Manual mode, and while they do spice up the engine or dull it accordingly, there's not that same level of driver engagement that you get in the S3. Now, while the steering on the CLA isn't quite as sharp as the S3, the same goes with body control. This car doesn't seem to hold quite as well through corners, though it's still definitely competent. It's easy to drive fast, but at the same time, it's very, very compliant. The 7-speed automatic in the CLA isn't as intuitive as the S3, however the extra ratio is noticed at highway speeds, helping keep engine revs to a minimum. While the CLA isn't as quick as the S3, it is noticeably more compliant on the road, with better suppression over bumps and far less road noise. These factors mean the CLA is arguably the car to pick if comfort is more important than performance. However, the S3 still comes away the better driver. The final category in our test, curbside appeal, largely depends on personal taste. The S3 brings a very understated look externally. There are only subtle styling cues, including a light body kit, quad tailpipes and a low slung stance, but it doesn't really preview what performance lies beneath. The CLA, meanwhile, is almost a polar opposite. It's extroverted and instantly recognisable on the street. And while that sloping roofline isn't the most practical profile, it turns plenty of heads, and for that reason, it's hard to look past in our final category. Where the Mercedes-Benz is a luxury car with a sprinkling of sport, the Audi offers equal measures in both, and in this head-to-head, it takes the win.